Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku. We also had Pyra. These two were staying in Imsera, and after their date, Deku had quite a lot to deal with. He, the next morning, talked to the other heroes, told them about this prophecy and what it does mean. And whenever he revealed to them he met the goddess of death, some of them were quite alarmed. Bakugo obviously was a bit skeptical, but he had enough attention to take his eyes off of his book, actually converse with Izuku, as he now wants to be called, and the other heroes. The fact of the matter is, magic is involved in this. An old elf died and a god came to claim their soul. They talked with Izuku. And when Ray told this to Sir Theodore and even passed it along to King Solomon, those two were not sure how to react. Their kingdom does send the regards of the royal family. Meanwhile, Theodore, this revelation had him a little spooked. It was alarming. Gods don't often come to the material plane. When they do, it is a sign something is going to happen, be it good, malevolent, or evil. It's a mixed bag. He told Izuku to begin learning Sylvan, the Fey tongue, and if he does get back here soon, that would be good. Meanwhile, however, the royal family, they extended an invitation for Deku to stay for the festivities, and him and Pyra decided to stay for a few days. It'll give them some time to party, relax a little bit, and go see her family. And that was exactly what they did. And we do currently have about 4 days later, where a sigil, it does appear in Granala's royal courtyard. Deku and Pyra going to appear as he does gonna stand there. Him, in his clothes as Pyra, does this one smile. Her carrying a bag that does have some things that her mother did want her to take with her. Not only because they're worried, but it also is important. She found herself a man, and if she does want to keep him, she needs to be well aware of a few things. Not just how to be there for him, but to be dependable. And the same thing could be said for Izuku. And Deku, he definitely does remember that chat. Her older brother and father tried to intimidate him, but he stared down harsher threats, and even told them a few stories about it. They lightened up on him. They like him, and that already is another step. He was worried at first, but now they're back. And that is then punctuated by Oliver stepping out. Right on him on the back foot as he does get a block an overhead strike from a sword. And whenever the two do get a freeze, Deku, he does get to stand there. Watching Honest Erodas, she does go to turn to him and talk about it. They will continue this in a minute. Him nodding his head as he lowers his weapon. Right now, him with a wound on his shoulder that can be healed with a basic potion. And he does get to walk over and sit down. Trying to catch his breath as Erodas does begin to step forwards to him. Deku staring at her in her training gear. Right now, her stepping forwards, asking him if he forgot about their duel. Her holding the sword up and out towards Deku. It about a foot away from his face. And he does it to talk about it, bringing his hands up. Hey, it's not like that. A few things happened and it's been a little crazy. Right now, her gonna stare at Deku before the dragon on his shoulder does go to perk up. It going to raise its head as she's to turn her eyes directly at the creature, looking back at Deku, her brain is going to do a bit of a double take. Her going to look back at the creature and stare at it. And she does get to slightly lower her weapon. As the creature, it does get to raise its head, and its mouth does begin to glow with a blue flame. Deku bring his hand up, patting it on the side of the face, talking about it. Easy now, easy. She's a friend. Just a little more, well, it's hard to explain. The creature going to let out a sound. And someone, they do get to land in the courtyard. Deku looking up and going to see Sir Theodore. However, his eyes do go to widen a little bit. As Theodore, he does begin to dispel the magic he's using. The wings on his back going to disappear. And Izuku, he does get to stare at that. Right now, him wondering about why he's doing that. And it does still have his attention. As Theodore does come walking up, asking about it. So he spent all that time away, and what does he have to show for it? They have a situation and they're learning more about it. King Solomon won't be happy, and neither will the court. It's a lot to explain. We were invited to stay. Where are you now? We were. We also brought a few things back. I stayed for a reason, Sir Theodore. Learned what I could, figured it out, and I even found what you needed. Information on Sylvan. I want to apologize for staying there. After everything we went through with Stonefen and fighting the vampires, I thought I needed time off. But it kind of messed me up a little bit more. I'm dealing with another mental conundrum. I'm not mad at Zuko. Him watching his Theodore does get to relax his shoulders. The man expressing. After what he told him, he cannot blame him. Hell, he would have stayed away for a whole damn week if he could. But how are things over there? They were good. Not too bad. Though, the king did give me 2 barrels of dwarven brew for the kingdom. Well, more for the royal family, to be part of the celebration. Ooh, dwarven brew. That does sound good. Oliver perking up, as he does a walk over, asking Deku if he's actually being serious. Yeah. Why? Dwarven brew is expensive? And you're saying that you have it by the barrel? Okay, that is impressive. I'm sure it can mess you up. Maybe. But right now, that's not what we're here for. Right now, what we need is for him to get back on training. You mentioned you brought back trinkets. Magical items. Him going to bring his hand up and begin to pull things from his inventory, talking about it. He didn't get any magical items for himself, but he does know that some of them definitely will help his party members. He got these. Him going to hold up a pair of bracers that they do go to somewhat look a little short, connecting from around the wrist to halfway up the forearm. And Theodore does a stare at those. Him taking them in his hand before he's to talk about how he got those for Oliver. Along with maybe magic gloves. Why would I need magic gloves? I'm a swordsman and those are bracers. Believe it or not, Oliver, you're actually strong with magic. I don't know what happened at Stonefen, but your prowess has gotten better. Really? It has. Right now, Deku turning his head. Indra gonna fly down and gonna say out loud that Sir Theodore is fast. How is she expected to keep up if he's returned? Yes, he has. Now, if you're done complaining, we can all properly chat. Him looking back at Deku, talking about how he does owe the swordswoman a proper battle. And if he is going to fight, perhaps he should use a weapon for this. Deku looking up. Before he does understand, nodding his head as Theodore does stare at the dragon on his shoulder. Him with a bit of a surprised look. Right now the creature going to fly over to Pyro's shoulder as Deku does bring his hand up, letting it know that he needs it to move. Him gonna step out into the open courtyard and go to bring his hand up, getting ready and gonna pull one of his Dragon Slayer swords. Right now, Theodore gonna bring his hand up and tell him, use the other weapon. The other one? The one the King of York gave you. That one would be more appropriate. She has one blade. Use one blade. That one as well. Have you practiced with it at all? No, I haven't. I'm more comfortable with these two ones. They're, I don't know, simpler, easier to use for me. I'm more comfortable with either hand. That's good. Her holding her weapon up, and Deku can practically see the aggression on her face. This is long overdue. Yeah, no, that's bad. Him going to bring his hand up and manifest the weapon. It going to appear in his hand as Theodore does watch on. It a black-hilted Nodachi, longer than Deku remembers. Him staring at the shiny sheath of the weapon before he does pull the weapon. And Erodos does get a stare on. Deku looking at the black metal. Him going to carefully set down the scabbard as he does go to hold it up and stare at it. It feels a little awkward in his hands. He thought it was a katana, but getting a better look at it, feeling it in his hand, comparing it to her sword, it's not. It's bigger. Clearly it's meant for an orc. But that does raise many questions though. This metal, he hasn't seen it before. And that does make him wonder. And there is where Theodore does get a smile, bring his hand up, and going to snap his fingers. And Erodos does begin to rush at Deku. Him staying there for a minute, still trying to get a feel for this weapon in his hands. It's lighter. It's stranger. And the power he can feel resonating off of it. It feels odd. There's no other way for him to describe it. And Erodos, she has come rushing at Deku. Right now him going to bring up his weapon as she descends on the first slash. Her incredibly fast. And Izuku, he is surprised by her speed, since clearly she was holding back. And right now, she does go to send another slash at Deku. Him bring up the katana, or the Nodachi, and going to block. Him surprised, as one of his weapon does gonna strike hers, the two do send sparks. Him able to angle his left hand up and slide her weapon down. Her going to turn and try and hit him in the chest with the hilt of her blade. Deku going to turn and bring up his weapon. Her going to carefully stop her strike and bring up her hand. Her trying to punch him in the stomach as Deku, he does bring his hand up. Him slapping hers away as he does take a step backwards, talking about how fighting dirty isn't good. And she does look up at Deku, annoyed as she does gonna bring up her weapon and begin muttering an incantation. Her whispering it under her breath as Deku does a stare on. Her going to have her weapon begin to glow. And Izuku does watch her carefully, her body encased in magic rushing forwards, her faster as he does go stepping backwards and unprepared. Him getting ready as he does bring his weapon up to send on a strike. He needs to go on the offensive. Her sending out powerful slashes of magic. And Deku does see the raw magic strikes coming directly at him. Him going to bring his hand up as he does, going to slice out and cut the magic in half. Him going to send out a magic slash that is to counter two of them. Her rushing in as Deku, he does get a turn. Him going to catch her as he does, going to send out a strike and it does it to grab hers. And she does go on the back foot. Her trying to defend from the attack that could have taken her in the shoulder if it struck down. And the moment she does go see the weapon up close, her eyes do look strange. Deku surprised as she does go to send another strike, stepping away and going to attack. Deku countering it and then going to go on the offensive, sending out strikes of his own, faster and lighter. That's how this weapon feels in his hands, compared to his other blades. It's incredible. Deku going to go from holding his left hand up to turning it a bit to the right. Him going to block the attack that could have actually pierced him in the arm, as she does go to pull back and then bring her hand up, attempting to create a magic barrier as Deku does go for a piercing strike. It going to appear as he does go stabbing into the barrier. His weapon breaking into it as Deku does go to step backwards, bring his weapon up and going to send out a powerful wind strike. The wind slicing into and cutting through the barrier. It hitting Erados as sending her flying backwards, crashing into the dirt and standing back up. And Deku does go to see that. Her getting onto her feet as Deku, he does go to hold the weapon up in one hand. And she does go to see the warrior she saw on the battlefield, saw in battle. Though this, it's bad. A superior weapon. That's what he has. Her weapon is laughable in comparison. It's a cheap replacement. It hasn't been properly enchanted. The magic type she's using is going to wear her out. In this, it does annoy her. So he wants a proper rematch against a proper rival. But his strikes, his power, it's not good. Deku is staring at her, noticing that she looks winded. But he still feels a little fine. Yeah, a little tired, but she's clearly been using magic. She's using it to enhance her physical body. A question Deku might need to ask about. He knows it's possible now. Looking at all those grimoires, all those spells. A wind element, maybe? That could be something. Or is she using something else? Fire stepper? Possible. He's got to end this quickly. With that on his mind, Deku going to have his eyes begin to glow, and his weapon, it does begin to glow with spirit energy. Her watching as the dark blade does begin to emit a purple and white shimmer. Deku going to have his eyes, so look at that. Her rushing forwards as he does, going to step in. Him going to leap forwards with speed. Her bring her weapon up as Deku does a strike down and the two do a clash. Her weapon going to break as it does go to be sent flying everywhere. Deku going to quickly pull his hands back and stop the attack, as his weapon does find itself in her shoulder, cutting into her armor as he does go to stare at her. And she does look at him as Deku, he does it to pull his weapon back and bring it up to the top of her chin, telling her, as he does go to look at her, that he's sorry about that, but he's pretty sure that means he wins. Going to somewhat smile, before stepping back and bringing his left hand up, apologizing for breaking her sword. I knew it. Her folding her arms, annoyed. What did you do in Sarah? You're clearly stronger. What do you mean? You're strong. What did you do in that city? I didn't do much. I did a few things. but I guess it's more what happened. Remember back at Stonefen? Do any of you guys actually feel stronger from that, actually? I meant to ask, but I didn't. And looking around, and some of them, they do look around a little confused, as he does try to talk about it. Okay, whenever he's against something that's way higher level than him, he just kind of, whatever's going on in the system that he uses for magic, it's gonna give him more power if he does overcome that. Really? Yeah. My winter storm at Stonefen, it gave me quite the boost in power. I went from, I don't know exactly. Uh, sorry, I'm a little hungover, so I don't remember the exact level, but I shot up about 20 levels, so I'm a little stronger than you might expect. Her staring at him, both annoyed and impressed. Since 20 levels? That sounds insane. And that was in one night. It can't be possible. There are stories of it, but nothing she's seen or been able to confirm. And Indra does comment on it. Well, it looks like the little warrior has been proven once again to be inferior. Deku turning to Indra, who does go to cross her arms and smile a little smugly. Her talking about it. Her wings on her back, as she does have the draconic features on her hands and arms. Expressing. Looks like she won't be able to win. Her turning to Oliver, talking about how he owes her 5 gold pieces. Hey, I didn't say she could win. You said she could put up a good fight. And from what I saw, she didn't do anything good at all. Deku turning back, looking at her before he does a look at her expression. She seems angry. She seems mad. But then she says to take a deep breath in and calm herself down. Deku staring at that before he's to open his inventory, bringing his hand out as she's a look from Indra back to Deku, who does go to hold out another sword. Her staring at it, as he does express. He remembers he owed her a battle. It happened before, but he does have another weapon in his inventory. Holding it out. Talking about how he did want to practice with this, but it's still a decent weapon. Her taking the katana in his hand and going to unsheath it and look at the blade. It's new. It's sharp as a razor. The craftsmanship on it is nice. And she does go to look back up at Deku. Her giving him a small nod as her expression does go a bit better, thanking him for the better weapon, and then asking for another rematch. Izuku going to turn his hand as he has to use Mage Hand, the sheath of his blade flying over to him as he does get a turn, trying to get the Nodachi back into its sheath a little bit of a strange angle. Talking about it. He's sure they can do that later. Right now he's got a bit of other things to deal with. Like? Well, I've got to deal with learning Sylvan. I need to sit down properly and do that. Give those barrels to the king, and talk to Theodore. The man crossing his arms. And Deku still does have that lingering feeling in his head. That prophecy. Theodore, he's supposed to be an Angel clan member. He doesn't know much about it. He just remembers he has those weird scars on his back. And if he's correct, that's where a pair of angel wings should be. He's seen other people like that before. He hasn't asked him about it, but he's seen those scars. And whatever he was doing earlier, when he landed, it caught him off guard. That being on Deku's mind. And Theodore, he does see the expression Deku does have. Focused, deep in thought, contemplating something of great importance. And he does go to ask him if he's trying to bore a hole into his head. Sorry, just got a lot in my mind. I can see that. Come on, we need to talk. Oliver going to turn, looking at Deku, who does going to turn with a little bit more pep in his step, a little bit more confidence. Him turning to Pyra and going to Wave, talking about how they can meet up later. Maybe he can give them the rest of the gear. He knows it should be fine. Her waving him off and giving him a smile. And Oliver does stand there with his arms crossed. Rhino him going to lower the healing potion in his hand, turning to Pyra and asking about it. So, how exactly did it go? The date went well. Sure it did. It must have went real well. Shut up. Her turning, looking at him as Oliver, he does go to stop. Rhino him going to turn and shout out to Deku, talking about how maybe next time him and Pyra could him getting smacked in the arm, where his wound just healed. And he does get a little bit of a strange sound as the dragon does go flying off to find Deku. Rhino it flying down a hallway and going directly through a door. Someone turning to see the creature and watching as it does go to turn to the right and fly down the hallway, landing on Deku's shoulder as he does going to ask. So, that's what's going on in the kingdom? Yeah. They're still partying when we left, but other than that, not much. The king still wants to know where he's at rest. I still refuse to tell him, and other than that, they're doing what they're doing. Right. Him bringing his hand up, and the dragon, it does, go to smack away his hand with its tail. Him gonna somewhat laugh out, asking when he decided to summon a familiar. Since that summoning circle should have done a bit for him. He didn't use any of that ability. Ability? Oh, no, that's another thing. This isn't a familiar. It isn't a familiar. Him stopping in the hallway, asking Izuku if he found a random dragon and just decided to adopt it. I mean, technically it decided to adopt me. It kind of lit our table on fire and I gave it a mana potion. It was low on mana. I also gave it some food and, well, it kind of just stuck around. Huh. So you adopted a pet. And it's not a familiar? No. Well then, I guess you should make it a familiar. I can get the contract drawn up for you. Though, you're gonna have to be the one to initiate the spell. This little creature here should be good for you. Are you sure? Yes. I'm positive. Though, do be warned. If you do want another familiar, you need to be careful. Don't take too many. Having one is good. Also, I know you. You need a familiar. What do you mean? Theodore turning, walking in the hallway and telling him he needs a companion other than that girl he spends time with. If something does happen to that familiar, though, be warned. He'll feel it. Deku nodding his head as he's ahead to the library and go to open his inventory, pulling out a book that does go to help him with a few things, as it does have from Elvin to Sylvan. Deku looking over a few things inside this book, taking a paper and writing them down. And it does mean a bit. Him doing this for some time. As there is over the dragon, it does sit on top of one of the bookshelves. It looking around before it does go to fly down. The pseudo dragon going to land on the table as it does go to let a sound at Deku. Him opening his inventory as he does use his left hand. Him pulling out a piece of food and holding it up to the creature. It going to bite it from his hand as he does to pull his hand back. Going to look at the creature and going to look at his hand. Before he does go to wipe it on his pants and then go to bring his hand up. Going to scratch it between his horns and go to pat it on the head. It letting out a sound and beginning to lay down. Looking at Deku, who does it turn his head. Going to give it another piece of food as he go back to what he was writing. And this, it does mean a bit. As there is about an hour later, Princess Lillian does come walking into the room. She heard of Deku's return. And right now, whenever she does go look around the library, she does see him at the table he usually would sit at. Though, it's a bit surprising. He's got a book and paper in front of him. He's writing something out and, well, that little creature there. Her just staring at it. Before she has to walk up. Right now trying to ask him if he's alright. Oh, hi Lillian. Sorry, I'm a little busy. I've been away for a few days and I've got to get back to work. Work? You're studying, aren't you? I am right now. I've been doing a few things as well, but is there any update on the situation? No, I mainly just came to see you. Him turning his head, looking at her as she don't turn her own head. And she does just stare at him for a second. Are you okay? I don't know. There's something different. About you. Is that your familiar? Did you form a contract? No, not yet. Sir Theodore says that he's gonna draft that up for me, I guess. This little guy kind of just adopted me. Deku patting it on the head. Her walking over and bringing her hand out. The little dragon going to sniff her hand. Before it does going to nuzzle its face into it. And she does going to scratch it under the chin. The dragon leaning in as Deku, he does just laugh at that. Talking about how it kind of found this one. It's a bit of a story. But he can tell her later. Right now, though, he's got a lot going through his mind. Do you? Yeah. I have a new member to my party. Indra. I don't know too much about her, and well, me, Oliver, and Pyra are pretty effective in combat together. I need to figure out her strengths, find her weaknesses, and I don't know. Her attitude reminds me of somebody. And I don't like that person already. Really? Yeah. One of the 4 heroes. Actually, I don't think I've told you about this yet, actually. One of the 4 heroes, his name is Bakugo. He's not from my world, but apparently the version of him I know and the version of me he knows are different. What do you mean? We come from different worlds, but we ended up in this one. I see. But you know each other. Yes, we do. That's the problem. He's worse than I remember. And she reminds me of that. We weren't friends. That makes sense. It will take time, but she is a dragon. She needs to come to terms with her human side, if you say so. But that's the problem I'm having. Her father wants her to be humbled. I don't know how to provide that other than beating her in a fight. And even then, she might say I'm cheating or it was rigged or I use some underhanded tactic. That's how people like her do things. So beat her in a fair fight. Let her make the terms. Her pulling her hand away. And Deku does look at Lillian, trying to contemplate her idea. It could work. It might. But at the same time, he needs to know a bit more. And that's the problem here. Theodore going to walk in as he does, going to pound on the door. Deku and her turning to look at him as the dragon, it does even itself turn its attention to Theodore. Him talking about it. He's got everything drawn up. Come on. This needs to be done in private. And Deku does a stand. Him gonna lower his head to Lillian, talking about how he'll return shortly. Looking back at the creature, him gonna whistle as the dragon, it does go to fly up onto his shoulder with a gentle flap. So on the papers being sent flying as Deku does look at the creature. It letting out a sound as Deku's a turn, trying not to laugh and walking away. Now, Theodore, he does want to explain the process to Izuku. What he's going to do is form a contract. And the way this will work is quite simple. Him and the dragon will make terms. And they will share power. Really? Yes, Izuku. One way to make sure that the trade is fair, however, is to seal the contract with an exchange. An exchange? I mean, we exchange the powers. Izuku, the dragon has a piece of your soul, and you have a piece of its. It is how it works. It is how you exchange the power. A piece of my soul? Yes. That sounds risky. I mean, that sounds dangerous, but don't I need my soul? You can live without pieces of it. Though, make sure you don't take a massive chunk out of it. That's where side effects get caught up in. There are stories of beast tamers who have done such that. There's even a tale about one who attempted to take the world. But that's the problem. When all his beasts died, he was still alive. No soul, no humanity, no nothing. That is the danger of it. Don't overdo it. And remember, if it dies, that piece of you dies. You can't get it back. Deku nodding his head, right now aware of how serious this does feel, and that it does make him a little concerned. Right now, him looking at Theodore and going to step in to his private room. As he does, going to set down the contract and turn to Izuku, telling him and the creature will go through the terms. Once that is done, him going to pull a small knife from his inventory, telling him the two will seal the contract. Deku's staring at this, and Theodore does talk about it. It's simple. They'll seal it in blood. Then they will both burn it. It shows they work together. And Deku does still stare at that, asking if there's a different way to do this. This isn't the typical circumstance. Had you used the method I told you about, we wouldn't have to be improvising. This method will work. But next time, follow my directions. Though, can't say you're not choosing an unpowerful creature to form a contract with. Are you willing to go for it? Yes, I am. I mean, I don't think this little guy's gonna stop following me around for a long time. Deku smiling. As the creature, it does gonna send out a sound whenever he does, gonna scratch it under the chin. Its tail somewhat wagging behind it. And Theodore does go to snort at that, telling him, good. When he's done with that, then they can talk more. Perhaps he could show him something he hasn't taught him yet. He's been meaning to teach him how to fight in aerial combat. You've shown me a little bit with a sword. Yes, but I haven't shown you with magic. There are other ways to fight. And since you've been visited by Alino, I think I need to teach you this one. It's more interesting. Hopefully with that spiritual power of yours, you can do what I think you can do. Deku looking at Theodore, and the man does a somewhat grin, talking about how he does know other people besides Atrigue. The shaman and him had a conversation. It's quite a malleable power of his, and that does mean quite a bit. Now, him spinning on his heels and telling Deku, throwing his hand up to make that contract. He'll be waiting in the courtyard. And Deku does watch him close the door with a hearty slam. Right now him turning back to the dragon, going to walk over and sit down on his bed, going to lean back and crash onto it, as it does feel comfortable. Way more comfortable than he remembers. Sitting up, turning to the contract, a little intimidated, but beginning to read out the terms of it. And the creature, it does come flying over. The pseudo-dragon going to climb on Deku's lap, looking at the contract itself as he does look down at it, asking it if it thinks these are fair. The creature letting out a sound, and Deku, he does understand. The creature going to bring its teeth into its mouth, going to do something as Deku does watch it spit onto the contract. Him quite surprised to see a little bit of blood. And he does go to see that before looking at the dragon, it turning with its own bitten lip. And he is going to bring his hand up, casting healing magic on the creature as it has been a somewhat purr. Him staring at that before he has a somewhat laugh out. Going to look at the contract again, thinking about it, and going to look at his hand. He must draw blood. That's gonna be a little... Okay, he can do this. Bring his hand up. Right now him going to take the knife and slice slowly across his palm. Him making a shallow cut as he does go to squeeze his hand into a fist. As blood does a drain onto the contract, and he does a stare at that. The symbols begin to glow. Deku going to stand up as he does begin to focus. The dragon staring at it as he does go to watch as something does begin to form between the two. A link. And Deku, he does going to feel it. Right now him going to stand, trying to understand what's going on. The glowing runes are shining brightly with power. And Deku, he has a turn looking at the dragon, feeling some strange sensation both push and pull, and that it does feel odd. He feels like a current is trying to pull him, but at the same time, like a wave is trying to push him. It's hard to explain. He feels lighter on his feet, but the force of both, it's weird. He feels like he's standing still, but he's not. The energy running through him is magic, not his own. And he does go to roll up the contract and hold it out to the dragon. Him informing it that with this burn, the exchange is final. And with these words spoken into existence, they will fulfill the bond of the contract. The dragon biting down on its end. As Deku, he does understand, going to smile and light his end ablaze. The dragon, doing the same as Izuku, does stumble back after a second, feeling something both push and pull from him. And it does make him feel a bit drained of energy, as right now he does stumble backwards into the dresser and go to suck in a breath, as he does go to lower himself down, feeling odd. And he does blink his eyes, looking around for a second, as he does go to turn his head and look at his room. It looks larger, bigger. It seems strange. Climbing to his feet, turning his head and seeing himself. As Deku's eyes, they do glow strangely. Him blinking his head, and he does a turn. Right now staring directly at the dragon, which does get a literally happy sound. And Izuku, he does go to try and think about what that was. And he does go to look down to his system and open it up. And he does get a message from it, congratulating him on gaining a familiar. And that with this exchange now finalized, he has gained a ability from his familiar. Please select one of the following. And Deku, he does look at the page, telling him about the draconic abilities he has gained access to. And he may select one unique ability. And that word does catch his attention. Unique. Not rare, not common, not uncommon. Unique. Does that mean unique to the type of dragon it is? Or just the species? Or to the creature itself? Then on his mind, Deku seeing Dragon Scale as a potential trait he can take on. Cover his body in magical scales, and gain the defense of a dragon. Allow his skin to harden up and take on the most durable blows with mana. Him staring at that ability, and it does seem like it could be more powerful. Deku, not happy, thinking back about the chest scar he gained. Though, that skill definitely is the highest he's thinking about right now. Okay, so skill 2. Deku staring at it. Draconic eyes. Give him the sight and perception of a dragon. Allows him to perceive threats and even gain additional senses. This ability will also come with a visual change. Deku's staring at that. He was ambushed before, but he did have his barriers. A bit more training, and he won't be caught off guard like that. Though they didn't expect to patrol that close. If not at all. Okay. So far, those first two are looking good. Deku looking at the third skill. Dragon's Roar. And Izuku, reading the description of it, it does give him a bit of a chuckle, since it does sound a lot like Bakugo's intimidation skill. Let out a powerful booming roar, has a chance to stun the enemies, as well as intimidate them into fleeing. The louder the roar, the higher chances they think a dragon may be in the area. And Deku, he can already picture that. along with the description that if he does roar loud enough, he can even use concussive force to attack his enemies. And that idea, it does sound like a sound wave ability. So it's something else. Deku looking at the fourth ability, Draconic Wings. Use magic to manifest a pair of wings that will allow him to fly. This would be a natural ability, and would not go towards draining mana. Deku looking at that, highly intrigued. And he does look at these four skills. I mean, an ability that doesn't drain mana, that could be good. It would definitely be better. Okay. But is there anything else here? Him scrolling down, finding the information that, along with the selection of one of these skills, he also does have a 10% increase in mana. However, his familiar will sometimes feed from his mana pool, and this is to help sustain the creature with its magical deficient if it is not able to eat enough creatures, if not anything, with mana infused inside of it. Deku is staring at that, understanding that it's basically it doesn't get enough protein, but that protein is mana? Essentially. Him nodding, along with seeing that he does gain a 10% resistance to fire, additionally on top of his previous resistance. That intriguing him. Okay. So, along with the familiar, he has abilities that he can see through its eyes. Telepathic link? That's incredible. Okay. So, this could be problematic. But it's still so incredible. Okay. The wings, the senses, or the armor is probably what he needs the most. He can talk to the guy in town about his own natural armor, but along with even increasing the armor of his dragon scale, that would be good for a double layer. Plus, he could cut reinforcement magic. Try and see if there's an enhancement magic. Strength, even. Strength was his first, I guess, boosted skill when he got here. He was naturally stronger than people thought. If you can find it, and use it in conjunction with his spirit, and even this dragon armor, it could mean a bit. Now that's something. Deku is scrolling back up. Before he does select the skill, and he does look down at his hand, watching as his palm, spreading out to his fingers, does get covered in dragon scale armor. His skin shifting red and being coated in the, plates. Staring at that before looking at his hand, watching as the claws do to form before they do to disappear. Him looking at how it is going to run along his body. And Deku, he does even go to somewhat shrug his shoulder, feeling the strange sensation run through him, before he does a turn back to the dragon. Well, now, that's certainly something. Yes, it was, Master. Him turning, staring at the dragon before going to blink, remembering what that screen did say. He really shouldn't be surprised. He's fought strange cursed creatures, and gods exist. A talking telepathic dragon, tiny dragon, pseudo. Does he always have to say that word? Dragon, might as well. A telepathic dragon isn't the weirdest thing he's ever seen. Now that he does think about that. His life definitely has been more interesting. Deku letting that go with a bit of a laugh before asking the creature its name, and it does this on turn its head, looking at him. Before he does talk about it, he's not really sure what to call it, other than just dragon or, well, he could call it red, but that doesn't sound like a name. That's a color. Does it have a name? It was living among its flock in Amsera. Wanderer. Wanderer? Would wander around. Went to place to place. Traitor. Caught me. Found me. Took me there. Let me loose. Got free. Stayed there. Traitor. Did it hurt you? No. Kind. Nice. Gentle. Warm place to eat. Not a lot of food. I see. Not a lot of mana potions? Not a lot of food. It flying over to him before it has to ask the purpose of a name. And Deku does talk about how it is to identify it. Let him call him something. And Deku does with the creature, which does go to nod its head, beginning to somewhat understand. As he does try to think for a second. He's read a few stories about powerful dragons. He's seen a lot of stories, actually. But what's a good one? Name it after a dragon of the past? Or something new? Well, he doesn't want it to be slain in combat. Not like some of those ones. Well, it's properly trained. It's smart. It is powerful from what he has witnessed before. A good name. A good name. How about Astoth? Astoth. Yeah. How do you like the sound of that? Deku reaching up and going to scratch it on the side of the head. The creature letting out a sound, showing its approval at this new name. And Deku, he does get a notification from his system. And when he does open it up, he does get to see the skill name change, as it does show him that this skill is from his familiar. And he does get to ask it exactly what it would like to do. He's got to go learn Sylvan, and he's fairly certain that that might be a bit boring. And the dragon, it does it to fly back down to his bed, it curling up and laying there. As Deku, he does go to watch it immediately begin to fall into slumber. Him aware that he should have expected that. Before he's at turn, walking out of his room and heading back to the library. However, when he does get back to his station, Theodore, he did leave a note here. It informing Izuku. After the ritual he performed, he may be tired. Spend the rest of the day studying, and then tomorrow he can teach him more about aerial combat. He's heard a bit about what his spiritual skill can do. It is strange, but he does want to see more about it. If possible, he can show him more about aerial combat and a proper way to fight, since it can get a lot more interesting with a member of his party who can fly, being a new sparring partner. Deku seeing a note down below, informing him not to take it easy on her. She was sent here to be humbled and to live among the humans and the mortals of the realm. If Deku is going to fight her, then make sure he wins. Deku staring at that, since winning is underlined, and that does tell Deku he's serious. Before he says sit back down and begin his studies again, trying to regain his momentum that he did lose earlier. Though that strange feeling in the back of his head, it does remain. There's still a lot going on through his mind. Some of it that does concern him, but he can put it away for now, not focus on it. Though he does still somewhat laugh, thinking about the idea of his new skill, wanting to talk about it with the other heroes. But if they're doing the same thing, getting familiars, it could mean a bit. Ochako's got a large pool of mana, so with her being more magic focused, getting a familiar for her, it would probably fit her build. That going through his head. As right now Deku, he does gotta look back down and begin to try and write in Sylvan. Going to scratch out what he was writing and looking back down at an Elven word. Writing that one out and then beginning to try and write it back out in Sylvan again. Trying to pronounce the word, but it feeling strange on his tongue. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.